If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First, it's free. Second, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else podcasts are heard. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast, all in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
The stories, the hustle, the grind, the push, the pain, the time, love, the sweat, the tears, goes beyond the lights, the stage, the fame, and the message stays the same. You're listening to the Indie Takeover.
Come on, everybody, put your hands together. It's got to get better. All over the world, listen to these words. People come. People come. People go. People go. Your life has been out of control. Out of control. You're confused. But don't worry. Don't worry your soul. It will get better. It's gotta get better. It will get better. It's gonna be better. It will get better. 'Cause God is in control, y'all. Hey. Thank you, Lord. Hey. Find a praise within your heart. Hold it close. Don't ever depart. It gets cold in the night. But you'll be alright. Gonna get better. It's gotta get better. It will get better. Gotta get better. It will get better. 'Cause God is in control. Woo. This is the part I love. I find myself being. I've learned how to be knowing God. You supply all my needs. Work things out. It will get better. Gotta get better. People all over the world. Gotta get better. Oh, it will get better. I'm talking to somebody. Mother, can you hear me? Talking to somebody. It gotta get better. It must be. It's got to be. God promised me. And it will be. God's gonna make it. God's gonna make it. God's got to make it. You gotta make it better. Better. God's gotta make it. God's gotta make it better. Keep on moving. Keep on driving. 'Cause God's gonna make it better. Woo! People in Flint, Michigan, say better. Even in LA, it's gotta get better. What about New Jersey? Gotta get better. I forgot about New York. Yeah! Forgot about Philly. Gotta get better. Gotta get better. Gotta get better. Gotta get better. It's gonna be. God's gotta make it. God's gotta make it better. God's gotta make it. Say better. Say better. Say better.
Good afternoon, everybody. Listen, this is the Indie Takeover, and you just heard one of the hottest songs of this past year from Bishop Hezekiah Walker, written by our very special guest today, none other than Mr. Minister, Maestro, the man himself, Jason Clayborn. And I'm telling you, I'm excited simply because I'm a fan of his work, and I admire his heart and his skill and all that he has to offer. So we are in for a treat today to be able to just sit and talk with him as he shares some nuggets and knowledge and just insight on his experience and his perspective. So I want to welcome Mr. Jason Clayborn to the Indie Takeover. So Jason, welcome.
Man, listen, what's up, everybody? What's up, CJ, man? Thank you for allowing me to be on your show. And we just want to send a shout out to the Bay Area. A lot of you all may not know me, but I just thank you for supporting the music that I've written over the last, 8 years, man. It's been an incredible journey of just watching songs that God has given me bless the nations, all around the world. And I'm just excited to be here, man. It's an honor and a privilege. And I'm looking forward to just sharing what God has given me with everybody.
Man, I'm telling you, it is, I believe we're in a season of transition in a lot of places and a lot of areas of music. I believe people that are locked in and called to this music thing are really are making the decision to get on board and not to be stagnant and stay still. And so you're one of those that I believe, just you get it, and you're making you're staying relevant, you're staying even in your writing, and you're and you're arranging all the music that you give, it stays true to who you are, but it also it's relevant for where we are today. So thank you for being true to that.
Man, you know what's crazy? I'm glad you said that, because I just feel like in my writing and in the music that God has given me, for artists and for myself, people need hope, and people are coming to church hurting and need some direction. And us as minstrels, we have to be and make sure that we're in line and a part of that and are creating music that speaks hope, that helps life, that honors God first, that we keep the word and the sound doctrine of his word in the music that we write.
Yeah.
And that we are authentic and who God created us to be. Everybody has somebody that they looked up to. I look up to John P. Key and the Winans and Daryl Coley, are people that I've listened to and as a singer and as a writer as well. The Winans and John P. Key as well, and Donald Lawrence and people of that nature who are writers that have written music that is phenomenal, classical, and will live even after they're gone on, to be with the Lord. So I've always kept that in my mind and in my heart. And when God told me years ago, he said, man, when you write, make sure that my word is in the songs that you write.
Right.
Just like any other genre, they send subliminal messages in their music. You don't realize that you're singing those things, or that you're dance songs that are put out that make you want to dance, and the feel. Every music has an emotion and a feeling and a spirit behind it. So you got to keep that in mind when you're producing music and putting music out, that helps change people's lives. Not necessarily it has to be, I feel like, has to be mainstream of trying to be what the sound is for that moment. Mm-hmm. But putting out music that has the sound of what having your ear tapped into heaven.
Right.
Right. And so I believe I try to make sure that when I'm writing that I give people what God gave me. I'm not trying to be with the times. I'm trying to be where and feel what people need and see where God has me And that's all I've done when it comes to my music. I try to be authentic in who God created me to be, and write what He says, and not what feels good for what industry and people want to hear.
Absolutely. And I believe that one, you do it very well. But it's not an easy thing, and
No,
you've been in the industry for a while. You
yeah,
your family is musical, and I know you and your brother co-wrote a lot of material and different things like that. But just kind of give us some light or some history on how you started. What
oh
really
wow.
kind of put you in the place where you could write for Hezekiah Walker and
Well,
things like that.
let me tell you how God did this thing. Um, I was in college, going into my third year. My financial aid fell through, and you got to understand, and people have to understand that. I'm going to do a little teaching here. We worked for 365 years as slaves, and our parents didn't have money to save up for us, like the white folks did, for, them being born into an inheritance. So, for us as black folks, I had to, my mom, was a single parent with six of us. I was the oldest, and I had to help my mom raise my brothers and sisters at a young age. I'm the oldest out of the six, and so when I went to college, my financial aid had fell through, and my mom didn't really have enough money to send me back to school. So I remember praying to the Lord, and I was like, God, you know what, the gifts that you've given me, the talents that you've given me, and you know what I want to do. So God opened the door for me. And another thing, you gotta pay attention to God, how God opens up a door, because you might miss a season because you think He's gonna open it up a particular way. So I started off. There was a Christian hip hop group that was out back in 2000 between 2000 2002 called the Righteous Riders, who were signed to Ty Scott Records.
Mm-hmm.
This is when Christian hip hop hadn't blown up yet. So you had like Cross Movement, you had Gospel Gangsters, and then you had the Righteous Riders, who were just really kind of getting into, and Cross Movement and Gospel Gangsters were more, they wasn't as mainstream yet. So we were some of the first. I started off as a driver with the Righteous Riders, but while they were on the road, there were some of my friends, and they needed a driver to help them do a mini tour. I started off as a driver, couldn't rap at all, but I could write hooks off the top of my head. So I started writing hooks, man, for them. They said, man, we keeping that. And I'll never forget, they were headed to do Bobby Jones Gospel back in 2001. And they told their manager, yo, we put Jason Clayborn in the group. And she was like, who is this dude? Where'd he come from? And and I was just like, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to act. I had been promised so many different things from people in the industry because they saw the talents and gifts that I had, from conventions and growing up in the Thomas A. Dorsey National Convention of Gospel Choirs and Choruses.
Right.
From growing up in that, knowing the origin of where gospel music came from and how Thomas Dorsey started this music and everything, coming from jazz and then incorporating that in which developed the gospel music. And so I started off with a driver with them, man. We did Bobby Jones and we wrote a song. And I did the hook on Bobby Jones, man, and it blew up. And so, everybody just knew me as the singer dude with the rap group. So, man, we ended up doing a record. And, when we did the record, the label wouldn't put me on the front cover because I didn't rap.
Wow.
So I stuck the background. They put me on the back cover. So I wasn't tripping about that. I was a little salty about it, but God was setting me up for something bigger and greater. And and you gotta be ready and be in position. You don't have to sell your soul, or everybody that's working in the industry ain't sold their soul for a penny or a dime or a nickel.
Right.
Or sold they flesh, to somebody else to make it. Everybody ain't like that. You know what I mean? But I believe my prayer was, God, protect me from things that I don't, and people I don't need to be around, and then put me where I need to be, and then teach me as I'm moving forward and moving up. So I started with them. They split up after 2000, in 2003. We were nominated for Stellar in 2002 when Tone was real big. We was on that same Stellar Awards with them, man. And so they split up. I started my own group called The Ensemble, and I start writing. And so we were young. My brothers and sisters was 13, 14, 15. And I got a group of young people together that was talented in my city in Louisville, Kentucky. And man, I started writing all these songs. I was like, man, I'm just gonna teach them to a singer group of these young people, and we're gonna just try it and see. So we did a big concert here in our city, and I don't know how it got out, but people from all around the East Coast and Midwest started hearing about us. And so we did a live DVD with no money. You know what I mean? We did a live DVD with all original material. And if I go back and watch that DVD, it's so many people that are successful now, young people in the music industry that was at our concert.
Right.
Man, and we did them songs, and them songs, people were going crazy, man. I mean,
Wow.
it was packed. And so somehow Vashawn Mitchell got wind of a couple of the songs because a girl named Niecy Robertson, who sung The Light on Ricky Dillard's album, who we grew up with in Louisville, who's from Chicago. Her and her brother Titus Robinson, she started singing a couple of the songs in Chicago, and people were going crazy. I Worship You and Over, featuring Kim Burrell, which Vashawn ended up recording them songs on the Promises album before he started blowing up.
Wow.
So that was my first major placements, on a major artist.
Right.
And so those songs ended up wasn't singles, but they were the most popular songs on the record. And then Bishop Hezekiah Walker grew up in the Dorsey Convention. So Bishop had been knowing me since I was a baby. Him and my mom grew up with Donald Lawrence and him in the convention. And my mom used to tell me she used to teach Donald Lawrence's songs, and people would laugh at them because they were so different. This was back when they were teenagers.
Yeah.
And then Hezekiah knew me since I was a baby, so him and my mom were close. And so he was my godfather. So, but as I started growing up and they saw I had the gift to write and talent, I just kept shopping my music, shopping, and everybody was like, man, this is so different, man. We don't know. Shopping. And then I shopped You're All I Need to Bishop.
Yeah.
And Bishop was like, it took me about 4 or 5 people, even with the relationship I had. The drummer, Jeff Leslie, is the one who got Bishop to really listen to the song and get him to do it. That song, the night of the recording, people didn't hear the song. He told the congregation where they was recording that Jason Clayborn wrote the song, but the band is going to play the music and we just need y'all to clap.
Wow.
And so that night, nobody had heard You're All I Need when they recorded because they had just did the music. And so You're All I Need, people didn't hear that song until the sold out album came out. You're All I Need was track 9 on that record. It wasn't even the single.
Wow.
And everybody gravitated to that song.
Yeah.
And people started singing it around the country, and the label was tripping because they had already picked the singles, sold out, and God favored me. But they were playing You're All I Need just as much as Sold Out.
Yeah.
And when God has a plan for what He has a plan for you,
right.
Not a label or not an artist or nobody can stop what God has planned. Right. He's gonna do what He wants to do, how He wants to do it, and He took that song and blew it up and took it all around the world, man. And so now God has just been allowing my songs to be placed on records. I mean, I could just talk for days about how these songs, some of them I wrote 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. And God is just now bringing these songs to fruition. So I want to encourage writers, just like Andre Crouch with The Blood, he threw that song away. And his sister went and got it out the garbage and said, no, you need to keep this. This song is going to be big one day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to know the origin behind what you're doing. And you got to not try to be famous in this music industry, but be sound and have a relationship with God, be genuine with him, and work hard until your season comes. I'm grateful every day. I'm grateful every day. I wake up like I'm in a dream every day with what God is doing in my life, because when you work hard to get to this place, you know, it's surreal because you're like, God, is this really happening? But at the same time, just like when they anointed David as king, David went back and continued to tend to the sheep.
Yeah.
Until it was his time. And are you?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I timing is such a huge. I think it's such a huge factor in our lives, you know.
Yeah.
But God doesn't operate in our time frame, you know, and a lot of times our impatience and our, you know, we're so anxious and anxious but not ready, you know, ready
right.
in a sense where, like you said, have 100 songs just ready or sitting there, and you know you feel like, oh, this is gonna be a hit, but are you still gonna be faithful in that? I want to take a quick break and listen to a single from Wes Morgan that you wrote.
Oh yeah,
Get Me Through. Set it up a little bit. Tell us.
I wrote this, actually. What's crazy, that after You're All I Need, I wrote this some years later, a couple years later, because You're All I Need came out in 2008 on Sold Out.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote that 2006 or 7. And so it was almost an 8-year period where I didn't get any placements on any albums nationally at all after You're All I Need. I was sending stuff to everybody, Marvin Sapp. I mean, I could just name on and on and on and on. But I wrote this song, God Will Get Me Through, because I was just thinking about, you know, even in my situation at the moment, God, I don't understand why you allow this door to open, but what is holding up the process for me to get to the next place? And God just said, I'm going to get you through this. In my life, the transitions were happening. I was moving into a marriage and trying to figure things out and trying to get myself in position. Transitions were happening at my church. And God gave me this song, you know, pushing towards the mark, pressing towards the prize. I've come too far to give up now. I've come to really realize that the problems that I face are just tests to win the race. I know that God will get me through. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was just talking from the standpoint of I'm pressing towards what you promised me, God. But even though I'm pressing in that mode of what you promised me, I still don't see everything. I don't understand what you're doing, but I understand that eventually you're going to get me through this.
Man, and so many of us are there. Let's listen to Wes Morgan singing Get Me Through.
Pushing towards the mark, I'm pressing for the prize. I can give up now, 'cause I've come to realize that these problems that I'm facing are just tests to win the race. I know that God will get me through. These obstacles of life, just trying to get ahead. I keep my goals in front of me, the plans you set ahead. I admit it gets hard sometimes, and I want to just give up. God will get me through, yeah. For God knows all the plans, and He will guide us through them. Plans are not to harm you, but to prosper and to help you. this hope for the future. We're gonna win. Just keep on saying to yourself that God will get me through this. That God will get me through this. God will get me through, yes. God, He will get me through. Sing it with me now. Will get me, yes He will. God, He will get me through it, yes He will. I tried it, yeah. Will gonna get you through. You can't tell me no different, my brother, 'cause I know, and I've tried it. I know He will. Yes He will get me through. Every time, in every way, will get me through. I remember Job. He went through it, yes He did. Lost everything. I know if He did it for Job, He will do it for me. Oh yes He will. I know God will get me through. Yes He will. God will get me through.
We are back with the indie takeover. Man, Jason Clayborn is lacing our shoes today. I mean, with some real life experience that is, for me, I believe that those that are listening that may be writers or artists or want to be artists or background singers or vocal arrangers or just in the industry in any type of way, just hearing the need to wait, the need to be patient but not stagnant in your waiting,
Right.
being ready, being able to, like you said, have material ready and continue, writing and continue developing and creating and not letting that die, because every experience, I believe, is a push and a subject of a testimony, to free someone else. And you mentioned just, how songs that you had written were, took years to even get placed or really considered or things like that. And that it does something to you as a creator. But for you, it just sounds like, you didn't give up and you're not giving up, because it is what God has given you to do. That's your assignment to put out. And I love that. I admire that. I honor that. I appreciate that. Because we need people in this industry that is so cutthroat, so ready to, put everybody to the side and, move on to the next, what's hot, what's, and people give up and don't really know how to maintain longevity. And now times are a lot different. People are all in your business. We got Facebook Live, we got Instagram Live, we got Snapchat, we got, I don't know if people doing Periscope anymore, but it's all these accesses to your life, and a lot of times artists aren't ready for that. Having skill, having gift, having, but still broken, or still, don't know how to walk in integrity, don't know how to, even speak to people or garner healthy relationships or any of that. And it becomes, your gift and your talent becomes tainted when you're in the public eye and people are seeing your flaws, and that's kind of another angle we can talk about too, because I think in Christendom or in gospel music, we try to mask our flaws so well that sometimes when they start to show, it's, it's all this devastation, like, oh, I can't believe such and such did this. In reality, we all fall short. You know.
Yes, I feel like it's people are looking at the fame behind people as artists or people as writers, but artists and us being authentic and saying, "Hey, I'm still human." You know what I mean? I think that's a factor where when you realize or realize that you're still human, that gives God room to work on you. I think when you try to be like you're the superhuman, then you push God away and act like you can do it on your own. And I think that's, as artists, as independent artists, as artists, we have to continue to stay humble and remain open to letting people see that God is working on us as well.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That it's not okay. We put music out for God to just work on you and not ourselves.
Right.
No, because some people will get up and be and a lot of artists want the fame and the platform, like you said, but haven't allowed God to work on their lives or continue to work on them, because we're in a continuous process of being worked on. Ain't nobody perfect, regardless of what music you hear. Nobody's perfect.
Right.
Let's just put that out there.
Nobody.
You're
not
gonna
near one.
You're not gonna not near another. You're not gonna reach no perfection until you get to heaven.
Yeah.
So my thing is, you have to be authentic in that. You gotta be you gotta, just because you're connected to an artist or connected to somebody, don't let that blow your head up as well. You know what I mean? I'm connected to different people, but that doesn't mean that I lose who God created me to be.
Right.
That don't mean I lose
Right.
the fact or the sight of that's who God created me to be. I don't lose that. I don't lose that or forget who God created me to be. I don't forget that. You know what I'm saying? I don't forget that, nor do I put it on the back burner of who God created me to be. And the call that he has on my life, just because I might be singing background for Hez.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I got a mandate and a call on my life, I mean, that still goes forth. You know what I mean? I'm not getting excited about that. I'm getting caught up off of the passion of my relationship with God. I feel like it's passion with God first, then your gift. You know what I mean? And then all the other stuff. And for those that are married, it's God, family, and then your gift.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like we put too much stuff or try to put too much in front of God. So then we're giving God weak stuff when it's put out here amongst the body, and it's not life-changing.
And
you know what I'm saying? You're trying to sound like what somebody else puts out, and it's not being like a go back to the authenticity of who God created you to be. If he wanted all of us to look alike, he would have created us all to look alike.
Right. Let me ask you this. So you mentioned for those that are married, those that are that have families, that the priority should be God, family, and then the ministry. And I grew up in church where and I'm going to choose my words wisely.
Okay.
But I grew up where I saw the responsibility that was placed on individuals that had families literally tear the families apart because the family wasn't priority.
But that's because you're not in divine order, man. I had to get that.
Exactly.
I had to get that to myself, man. I had to get that with myself. God checked me on that. You're not about to be out here running around and writing and going this, and your wife is saying, I want to move into a house. I want to get settled. I want to get out. And you're not about to be doing that. No, you take care of home first. Then everything else will line up. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be in divine order with what God says. Especially if you're gonna get married. You know what I mean? And then those that don't have a covering, you know what I'm saying? You You got to be in order with where God is having you. You can't be out here living any old type of way. You know what I mean? Where is the standard of how you live as a Christian? I saw Kirk Franklin post something and he said, "I just want to live for Christ. I just that's all I want to do. I want to live for Christ. I want to do right." If God never elevates you to that point, will you be happy with where God has you at?
Man.
You know what I mean? And will you be comfortable with the demographic of the 50 people that loves your music?
Man.
You know what I mean? I feel like we're not being we got to be authentic to where God has us at.
Yeah.
And reveal the testimonies that God has given us to help other people, man.
And
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And knowing what that answer is, you know. I know for me, and I'm only 30, but you know, when God is years ago, I said, you grow up, you go to school, and they ask you a question, oh, what you want to be when you're older, you know, and I'm like, well, I don't know. You know, I wanted to be a scientist, I wanted to be a dentist, I wanted to be a doctor, I wanted to be a teacher, all these things that we want to be. And I remember when God called me, you know, and I, not to be, you know, spooky or deep, but I was going through a very deep, dark depression, and God spoke to me as if I were talking to him on a phone, or just, you know, person to person, real clear. And he said, Jeremy, this is not for you. But when God calls you and God says this is not it, there's more, you know. And
man, like it's I've been in my church 12 years. I ain't been running around jumping to different churches and doing all that. I've been stable. It's been stuff that's happened to me in the positions that I've been in my church, and I haven't wavered. I trust God. Ain't nobody got mad and ran away and all of that. I stayed and I sat still because everybody's like, man, it's time for you to go. It's time for you to go. And I know God didn't speak that in my spirit yet. I know God's voice when he talks to me.
Yeah.
He'll show me. You have to be mature, but that's developing a relationship with God, man.
Absolutely.
Like people are, like you said, you might be a worship leader for 12 years, but have you been in your word and been praying and fasting and seeking God for those 12 years and not just developing your craft?
Right.
You know, you got to get beyond the gift and get back to relationship.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest thing, man. That's what we're missing. And you can find yourself in that mode of saying, man, I can sing. I can sing. I can write. Why is everybody else blowing up around me? All of my friends around me blew up. Amber Bullock family. All of these people. Jeffrey Golden, he's like a little brother to me. All of these cats, we all grew up in the Dorsey Convention. Up under me, they thought I was going to be the one to take off as an artist. But that wasn't the route that God had for me to go and get in the industry. Right, you see what I'm saying? Right. I started come in as a writer, then come back as an artist. You got to pay attention. It's about growing up in God and understanding that everybody's path is not the same way. And a lot of us that see these artists and see us out here working hard as writers and stuff, you want the glory, but you don't want the story.
Man.
You know what I mean? You don't want the story behind it. You don't want to go through what I went through. You don't want to go through me get my cars repoed and me sitting in the dark with no lights on. You don't want to go through that. You don't want to go through that. You don't want to go through having a daughter and feeding them and finding out how you're going to make it and get Pampers and making enough money to pay your rent and you eating ramen noodles so that your daughter can have milk and Similac and Pampers and clothes.
Wow.
You don't want to go through that. Wow. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you don't want to go through that your process. But CJ, it's not my process.
Man. Right.
You know what I mean? And you got to understand and know who you are in God and be comfortable in that.
Yeah.
So I had to pull myself back and say, you know what? I celebrate my brothers and people that are around me that are blowing up and doing what. And when God is in that season of where he has me at right now, and they're in their season. They looking at me like, yo, Jay is still grinding out here. Because like God is bringing me in a whole nother way. My story is not your story. You got to be comfortable to where God has you. Man, I could talk all day about this, man. Like, it's just understanding that put your passion for God before your gift.
Yeah, man, I'm loving it. I don't even want to take a break, but we're gonna take a quick break and come back and just keep the dialogue going. But I love that. Keep the passion for God before your gift, man. That's where it's at. I mean, if you're going to
man.
we can talk all day.
If you're gonna be successful in what you want to do in this music industry right now, especially with the way streaming and all of that is going with record sales, you have to have a relationship with God and not be focused on record sales, but be focused on blessing the people, getting people into the kingdom, helping somebody get delivered, helping somebody through their week, through their day,
absolutely,
through the next hour.
Absolutely. You bring up a very good point that I wanna talk about right after we come back from this break. So hold on to that thought. We'll be back with Jason Clayborn on the Indie Takeover.
This is Demetrius Tollfree, the host of D-Toll Live, where we are living in victory every day. And I'm here to tell you that the team and the staff of freedomradio.com are always working hard to bring you the absolute best in gospel music 24 hours a day. One way we've done it is that we are now available on iTunes Radio. That's right. You can now listen to Freedom Radio on your computer using iTunes, as well as you can catch us on TuneIn Radio, /Freedom Radio, as well as you know that you can always download the Freedom Radio application to your phone, your iPhone, your iPad, your Android phone or tablet, as well as you always know you can catch us directly on freedomradio.com. We're doing all that we can to bring you the best in gospel music, and we want you to know that Freedom Radio is your radio station. Let's go.
And we are back. I'm telling you, I'm gonna call you Pastor, Pastor Jason. There was a statement you made right before we went on the break, and you mentioned really understanding that the climate of the industry right now, you can't be focused, or artists can't really be focused on CD sales or record sales primarily. It has to be about the passion for God and what He's called you to do in this season. So what would you say for where we are right now? What would you say to the music streaming and the different apps like Tidal and Spotify, and if it helps or hinders the development of the industry for the artists?
Labels right now, just being honest, and this is talking to record execs and people around, labels are still trying to figure out, when it comes to deals with gospel music, labels are trying to figure out how to make the streaming piece work for gospel artists.
Yeah.
And just be honest. And that's why I said, that's why people, when they out here acting famous and stuff, I'm like, man, I've been looking at these record sales, and there ain't nobody selling no records. Like, you only got to have 2,000 or 3,000 records to go number one on billboards now in gospel music. That's not good. I just feel like people need, if you're gonna stream, I make a statement. If you buying an independent album, or you're buying, people that are signed records, to still buy the CDs on iTunes, still buy the CDs on Amazon, still buy them. Even if you're streaming, still buy and still support the ministries of these artists and all of us as artists, because at the same time, it's a business for us. It's how we take care of our families. It's how God has blessed us to be in the body of Christ and all of that stuff. So, my thing is, please buy records. If you're an independent artist, it's a little bit easier for you to make money as an independent artist from selling 1,000 records or 2,000 records than it is you being a signed artist and selling 2,000 or 3,000 records and only making, $200 or $300.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's a numbers thing too. Know your business, know the numbers, know the percentages. Don't get excited about getting deals. That ain't always, you got to know what you're getting into with the deal situation. You know what I mean? Know the paperwork. Find an entertainment lawyer. Just like you would spend that money on Jordans or spend it on some makeup, ladies, some hair or whatever. Save that money up and get you a good entertainment lawyer and somebody that can help you through the process of reading the fine print and the paperwork.
And how would you recommend someone really going and finding it, just a team, that will really help them?
It's something you just got to find who's in your area, who's working. You don't necessarily have to have somebody that's a part of somebody else's camp. There's other qualified people. You know what I'm saying? There's other qualified people
Right.
that might be in your area. That might be in your area. That could do the same work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And somebody that's not just built up off of a relationship, but that wants business.
Right.
You know what I mean? That wants you to be successful. Like my entertainment lawyer is not a part of the gospel industry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just got to have the people that, and then you got to study yourself.
Yeah.
That's
I was just about to say that.
Why the internet is here. You can
Right.
learn, tutorials on YouTube about percentages and splits and all of that.
Yeah.
Heck,
Yeah.
I own all of the songs that I got out there. I own them. No label owns them songs. I own them.
Man.
Better. I survived it. You're all I need. What get me through? Own them songs.
Man.
But that's how it creates wealth for you to be able to take care of your family. You got to know the business. Don't be excited about just being an artist. Learn all the ins and outs and make it a business for you as well. The word says, in business, be men. So it means you can't be in business and not, you can't be in this business and not know the percentages and what's
Right.
going on.
Right.
You can't. You're going to get got. Look at all of the stories of TLC and all of them people that didn't know the percentages and got excited about being artists and being out here and touring and not knowing the business and getting got, and everybody else is rich around them and making money off of them. And they're the ones that's exhorting and putting out the energy using their gift.
Yeah. Man, I what amazes me is that individuals, like the information that you're giving right now, just to encourage people to educate themselves and to know about splits, about contracts, about even getting an entertainment lawyer, or knowing the necessity of owning the rights, all the rights to your song, knowing the importance of publishing, the importance of just know what is owed to you. A lot of artists just have no clue clue whatsoever.
But that's because the people get excited about the stage.
Yeah.
When you need to know the behind the scenes, man, you got to know that stuff. You got to. If you're going to be a successful artist, you have to know what's going on in the boardrooms and know what's going on when you're having conversations, when they're having conversations about your future and your gift that you're putting out.
And that's
go back and look at the movies like James Brown and Ray Charles and all of them.
Exactly.
They learned they weren't gonna let nobody get them. No, if I'm getting $500 and I'm splitting it up, I need to know where everything is going.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a full totality of being an artist.
Right.
Man,
And
we're
being
gonna
prepared.
have to
Right.
and bring, man, you're gonna have to call me back for another segment.
Yeah.
because I could talk a whole another 30, 40 minutes to an hour on that.
Man,
About learning and knowing what you're knowing about. It's the study piece.
Right.
The word says, "Study to show thyself approved." That means I take that in two folds: study the word, and then study whatever you want to be great at.
Yeah.
Heck,
Man.
Thomas Edison failed so many times, and they laughed at him.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I look at George Washington Carver with the peanut.
Yeah.
And you know, and you gotta know what you're doing. You know, you gotta watch. I watch other parts of the industry, like the Jay-Z's and the Sean Puffy Combs and all of them getting into different pieces of being a full mogul behind what you're doing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like they got it before us, learning how to work together.
And a lot. You are right about that.
Honestly, man, I feel like they know more how to work together, and
yeah,
they showing us what the kingdom should be like.
Yeah, absolutely.
All that territorial stuff. What do you mean? We all work for the same kingdom.
Exactly.
What was being territorial over something that don't belong to us?
I didn't think I could make it. Statistics said I should be dead by now. Trouble and wars all around. The doctors surely had counted me out. After all I had to face, you've been there, and your tongue in every way. I survived it. Are there any survivors in the house tonight? Now I want New G, put your hand together when something's strange. I know I can make it. I won't cease, I'll just praise. I'ma praise my way through it. That's how I take it. Come on, clap your hands when something stands in the way. I won't cease, I'll just praise. Somebody put your foot on it and say, catch on and catch the words and say, come on, no G, say it again. Come one day, be okay. I survived. While you're standing there looking at me, any survivors in the house? Come on, put your foot on it and say it. So come one day.
And we are back. That was I Survived It, written by the great pastor. Let me stop calling you that because folks will think you
I
got
know
your
they're
own
going to
church.
start having me come in to preach, man.
I mean, hey.
Hey, you know, hey, whatever God wants.
Come on. Exactly. I'm honored to have spent this time with you and heard and hear some of your great wisdom. I love talking to you anyway. We've talked several times before, so
yeah, man.
It's always a pleasure to just hear your voice and your message and all of that. And I'm glad now that the Bay and the world can hear what, you know, who Jason Clayborn is and what you are standing on, and the message behind the music. A lot of people don't get that opportunity to hear. So I know you got some things planned for yourself.
Oh yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that, and we got some exclusive stuff going on here for the Indie Takeover.
Yeah, man. So look, I have, you can get all of my albums on iTunes. I have 3 records out right now. A record called Music Word Theology, a record called Rhythm and Praise Volume 1, and then a record called Heart of the People. And then I have a new album that is about to drop sometime later this year. I have a new album that's about to drop called Jason Clayborn and the Team Live. And it's going to be it's a conglomerate of songs, worship songs for you on Sunday morning, for the choirs and your worship teams to sing. And I didn't write everything on this record, but I let people in my group write as well, because I feel like we got to start opening up and giving other people opportunities to be a part of this next phase of music that's going in and sowing early. I'm not old, man. I just turned 36. You know what I mean? I'm still a young cat, man, and I've been doing this for a minute now, and I'm just excited about this next season. So Jason Clayborn and the Team Live is coming soon, and I gave you all an exclusive listen to one of our new singles, Don't Give Up.
Yes, sir.
You can follow me on Instagram at jclay44. I'm on Twitter at Jason Clayborn, and I'm on Facebook at Jason Clayborn second page. Everybody follow me, man. I'd love to chat with anybody who wants to talk about the music industry and the realness of what's happening, you know, and just making sure you put yourself in a position, first of all, to have a great relationship with God, and that you understand the business behind what we're doing.
Absolutely, man. I thank you for taking this time and sharing with us. Hopefully everybody is downloading and buying your music right now that you just mentioned. But we are about to have a exclusive listen to the latest single from your upcoming album, and this song is titled Don't Give Up. So stay locked, listen to it, and thank you for tuning in to the Indie Takeover on freedomradio.com.
Listen, you've been praying, you've been seeking God, wondering when your change is gonna come. We just want to encourage you to hold on. Come on, team.
If you've ever had to cry, then you know what it feels like to be broken. If you've ever had sleepless nights, waiting for the morning light, hold on, because morning is coming. We've come to remind you, you're not alone. Don't give up, you can make it. You got
No
matter what you're going through,
and no matter
how hard it seems to you,
don't give up. God is not through.
feels like to be broken.
Cause we've all felt like this too, y'all.
Broken.